All right, welcome back to the channel. The first thing I want to do is say thank you to the 45, 46 subs that I do have on my channel. I haven't been pumping out as much content as I would want. Got a full-time job, got a family, wife, 2 dogs, all that good stuff. But I have a newfound respect for content creators who have full-time jobs. Not sure how they do it, but kudos to y'all for sure. I'm enjoying this journey that I am on right now with the content creation and the videos and the World Cup stuff. So thank you to the subs and all that. And by the way, if you haven't watched my group stage prediction video, I'll go ahead and just leave a link in the description below. Before I just start though, let me just say that sometimes you can't really go off of statistics, history, things of that nature. I think the only thing that you're left with is your gut feeling, right? I have a lot of picks here where I really don't have nothing backing it up. It's a gut feeling that I have. I just think that certain teams are just going to beat other teams, if that makes sense. And sometimes statistics and all that just doesn't apply. Sometimes teams just go at it head to head and then the best team wins. So I do have a lot of games here where it's just a gut feeling pick. Germany versus Paraguay. I think many people are gonna be automatic and just choose Germany for this, and I wouldn't blame them for sure. But I think this match can be much closer than what people anticipate that it could be. That being said, these teams have not played against each other since their friendly game back in 2013. And that game ended in a 3-3 draw. That was a very long time ago though. All that being said though, I do have Germany winning this game. France versus Poland, their last match was 2 years ago in a Euro match that ended in a 1-1 draw. This has all the feels to be a nice European clash, but ultimately I just think France has a better squad than Poland for sure. Korea versus Switzerland, just like Germany and Paraguay haven't played since 2013, so has Korea versus Switzerland. This is one of those gut feeling picks that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. So I do think Korea can pull this match off and advance. Netherlands versus Morocco. This is a match that can end up being hosted here in my hometown of Houston, Texas. What a match this can shape up to be for sure. Their last match was back in 2017 with Netherlands coming away with a 2-1 win. But Morocco just finished as runners-up in the 2025 AFCON. I really do think this team looks solid. So I think they can use it as momentum heading into this World Cup. Call it an upset, but I do have Morocco pulling off this win against the Netherlands. Colombia versus Croatia, this game could be a game for the ages. These are two teams that have never ever played against each other. Their first ever historic friendly match is set to take place next month in Orlando, Florida. But ultimately for this match, I do think Croatia can pull it out and come out on top. Spain versus Austria, I mean, this game could be interesting and very, very intriguing based on Ralf Rangnick and his style of play. But I think Spain is just loaded and there'll be a little bit too much to handle for Austria. USA versus Canada, 2 out of the 3 host countries are gonna definitely duke this one out. I actually wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people have Canada winning this game. But gut feeling pick here, I just think Pochettino is gonna have his team and these guys ready for this game. Belgium is gonna start the round of 32 against one of the playoff teams that I predicted to be Denmark. This could be a fun one, but ultimately, I just think Belgium can win this game. Brazil versus Japan. This is another great match that Houston can potentially host. I would not be surprised if people have Japan winning this game. Just last year, Japan beat Brazil in a friendly 3-2. I did have a lot of people questioning my logic on Brazil and them coming in first place of the group, considering how they qualified for this World Cup. And look, I totally get it. But this is just one of those gut feeling picks. Once again, I think Brazil and the players that they have are just ultimately gonna come out on top for sure. Ecuador versus Norway. I have said this plenty and plenty of times. Ecuador is definitely my dark horse for this World Cup. But how far does a dark horse team usually make it? This is probably gonna be my craziest pick of this whole World Cup. But who said we can't have some upset picks, right? I think this is my upset pick for this World Cup. That defense from Ecuador is very, very legit. And I think they can ultimately stop that crazy, crazy attack from Norway. And all you have to do is look at some of those stats from the CONMEBOL qualifiers. They definitely put a stop to a lot of those teams like Argentina and Brazil and all these other teams in CONMEBOL. So call me crazy, but this is going to be one of those picks where I just gut feeling, statistics, just anything you want to throw in there. I just think Ecuador would come out on top. Mexico versus Scotland. I just don't see Mexico losing in the Azteca, at least not this game. That crowd, I'm telling you, the Azteca is a very daunting place to play in. Ultimately, I think El Tri are going to pull this one out for sure. But shout out to Scotland sneaking into this World Cup. But ultimately, I do have El Tri pulling this one out for sure. England versus Ivory Coast. I'm going to keep this one very, very simple. England win here, and they will face Mexico in the round of 16. And what a match that has the potential to be for sure, a classic for sure. But I have England winning this game. Argentina versus Uruguay can be a great South America showdown, but ultimately I have La Albiceleste pulling this one out. Turkey versus Egypt. These are two teams that have not played against each other since like 1984 or somewhere around that range. So they don't really know their playing style or none of that. It can shape up to be a great match, but I just think Mo Salah and Egypt are going to pull this one out. Italy versus Iran. I don't think any game will be considered easy in this World Cup, but no disrespect to Iran. I'm going to be taking Italy for this one. Portugal versus Ghana. This is actually a very simple pick for me here. No disrespect to Ghana at all, but I think the GOAT, I think Ronaldo, I think that midfield, I think they're just going to be too much to handle. I think they get through to the round of 16. All right, and now on to the round of 16. I won't have too much details in terms of the picks that I have. Like I mentioned in the beginning, just a lot of gut feeling picks here that'll lead me to who I think will win this World Cup ultimately. All right, and first up, based on my predictions, I have Germany versus France. Two powerhouse countries for sure. Ultimately, I think France will pull this one out. Korea versus Morocco. I think this can shape up to be a very, very fun game. Ultimately though, I think Morocco, and like I said, that runners up in the AFCON, that momentum, all that I think is gonna play into it. I have them winning this match. Croatia versus Spain. Love Luka Modric, as I mentioned many, many times, in his playing style, but I think Spain is just gonna be too much to handle for Croatia. I wouldn't be surprised though if a lot of people have Croatia winning this game. USA versus Belgium. This is definitely an interesting one for me. USA, home soil, in Seattle. I feel like they might be able to pull this one out, but again, gut feeling pick. I think Belgium win this game. I think Pochettino will have his guys ready, just like in the round of 32s, but gut feeling pick. Just Belgium, all the players they have, we'll see. Brazil versus Ecuador, CONMEBOL clash. They tied 0-0 in a qualifier match last year. I think this is as far as my dark horse pick gets though. And believe me, I do want to pick them, I really do. But again, one of those gut feeling picks, this is definitely one of them. I know and I think that Ancelotti is gonna have this team ready to play. I think Vinny Jr., I think some of those guys are just gonna ball out for sure, and I think ultimately they win this game. Mexico versus England. The question everyone's gonna be asking themselves way before the World Cup even starts is, will Mexico finally get to the 5th game, right? The famous Quinto Partido curse. I think personally, the curse is going to continue. I think playing at home is gonna benefit them for sure. The Azteca and all the other stadiums are gonna play in. But England, I mean, I keep up with the Premier League. I'm familiar with a lot of their players. That team is stacked and they are very loaded. So I think England potentially win this game. Argentina versus Turkey. I'm gonna keep it real simple. I think Argentina win this one. Italy versus Portugal. I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube and a lot of folks don't even have Italy qualifying for the World Cup. But I have them reaching the round of 16 and ultimately just getting bounced out by Portugal. And now on to the quarterfinals. I'm gonna keep these picks, like I mentioned earlier, just real brief, real quick. France versus Morocco, interesting game for sure. I think France come out on top. Spain versus Belgium has all the potentials to be a very, very fun game. I got Spain winning this game. Brazil versus England. This can definitely shape up to be a classic game for sure. Lots of Brazilians in the Premier League, but I think England win this game. Very, very, very tough game for sure. it's up for grabs. I think anybody can win that game. So just going with England to win this game for sure. Argentina versus Portugal. I don't know if there's anything to say about this game. It's almost as if the FIFA gods are blessing us and they're letting Messi and Ronaldo just duke it out and just give us a farewell match before they retire. This is definitely a gut feeling pick here. Messi, Ronaldo, I mean, it's a fun game to watch. I think it will be a fun game to watch. But I do have Portugal beating Argentina. This is one of those call me crazy games. I think most people would definitely choose Argentina over Portugal. But when you put Ronaldo to the side, that midfield that they have is just insane, and that defense as well. And they are a very, very structured team, and I think they're more than just Ronaldo now. Where a couple years ago they did rely a lot on Ronaldo, I think they have a very good midfield, and I just think ultimately they can beat Argentina. All right, now on to the semifinals. France versus Spain. This can be such a tactical battle game, and definitely a fun one to watch. But I think ultimately, I think France will want this more than Spain. I think Mbappe and France come out on top. It'll be a fun game for sure though. England versus Portugal. When I had this game come up on my bracket list, I kind of knew right away who I was going to pick. Again, another game that has the potential to be a classic World Cup game. Portugal, that's who I think will ultimately win this game. And the final, of course, France versus Portugal. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube, kind of just browsing around, and not a lot of people have these teams going to the final. So for my predictions, that's who I have. I do think though that it is going to be a heartbreak once again for France. It'll be a fun battle, but like I said, this team does not only rely on Ronaldo now. I think they're loaded, I think they're stacked. So is France though. I think kudos to them. They're more than just Mbappe. So it will definitely be a fun game for sure. I just think Portugal are going to try really, really, really hard to give Ronaldo his World Cup trophy finally before he retires. So there you have it, my knockout stage predictions for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you enjoyed the content, feel free to subscribe. If you want to keep following the page for more World Cup content, I would definitely really appreciate it. Until next time.